every time you get angry at somebody, you're poisoning yourself. You're pumping the steroids, you're pumping the adrenaline into your system, just poisoning yourself. The body doesn't understand it is a physical stress and a psychological stress. The body reacts exactly the same way. So your immune system is shut down. One of the reasons we age, one of the biggest cause of aging is the gravitational pull. Everything is pulled down. Your facial muscles are pulled down. Everyone, good morning. Welcome to you all. I'll start with a small prayer to my gurus, my teachers. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sashal Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. We had started with pranayam. Before we go into the steps of pranayam, I want to say some basic things which I missed in the beginning. The time you do the pranayam, ideally your stomach should be empty at least for 4 hours. So the best time to do pranayama obviously is in the morning, or if you want to do it in the evening, ensure that after the lunch there is a gap of at least 4 hours. And how do you sit? You can sit wherever you want. If you want to sit on a chair, bed, if you can sit on the floor, ideal. But those of you cannot sit on the floor, sit on the chair. Only thing that need to be done is your spine need to be erect. Don't lie down and do pranayamas. There are certain pranayamas you can do lying down, which I'll come to later. But most pranayams should be done sitting down. How to sit on the floor? If you can sit in Padmasana, what I'm doing now, it's a good asana, you don't have to do that. You can do simple things like what we call a Sukhasana. Sukhasana is just sitting down, your legs is crossed, one leg need be on top, or you can just keep one leg like this, whichever is comfortable. One of the most beneficial asana to sit while doing pranayama is called as the Siddhasana. There are two types of Siddhasana. One is called as the normal Siddhasana, the other one is called as the Yoni Siddhasana. I mentioned the nadis. The nadis start at the base of the spine, and for the male it is an area called as the perineum, and for the women it is an area called as the cervix. If you observe Sadguru Sri Jaggi Vasudevan sitting, he has even explained in one of his videos why does he sit like that. His left leg is up here, it is pressed against the perineum, and the right leg wherever is comfortable. The Purna Siddhasana is slightly complicated, it's almost like a knot. You can do half Siddhasana. Or the other comfortable asana to do is if you can sit in what we call as the Vajrasana. The Vajrasana is you're sitting. I also mentioned yesterday that if you want to alternate your breathing, one way is to keep your palm below your armpit. You can even just cross the toes, how you sit in Vajrasana. So I'll sit in Vajrasana today. If you get used to it, it's a very powerful asana. This is actually the only asana which you can do after you had lunch or any food. Because most asanas should not be or cannot be done if your stomach is full. But this asana, Vajrasana, can be done sitting down, after your lunch or dinner or whatever it is. It helps in digestion. It has got a lot of benefits. I will explain all that when I come to asana. So the first pranayam we learned is Bhastrika. I'll just recap once more. Just observe my stomach. I hope you can see it. You are using your abdominal muscles to move up and down. I'll sit sideways. I mentioned Bhastrika cleanses your whole respiratory system. It also cleanses your nadis. Why I am starting with this asana is, this pranayama, Bhastrika is that I am going to introduce the next pranayam which is very similar to this, which is called as Kapalabhati. I mentioned earlier that there are a lot of ways to access the prana. One way is the breath. The second way I mentioned is to use the mudra. The mudra redirects the flow of prana. It prevents the prana from being depleted all the time. It is like building canals in the river I mentioned yesterday. One of the other ways to access the prana is through sound, which is called as the Nada Yoga. Because prana is an energy, you can use the sound energy. So there is Nada Yoga, there is Swara Yoga. So you can use certain sounds. The ideal sound is Om. There are various you can use to influence the prana. One of the other ways to influence the prana is called as Shat Karmas. That is another topic. One of the Shat Karmas, cleansing the nadi, is what we call as the Kapalabhati. Kapalabhati basically means cleansing the frontal lobes. You can call it the frontal sinuses or cleansing the frontal lobes of the brain. The difference between Kapalabhati and Bhastrika is that when you are doing Bhastrika, you are inhaling and exhaling with the same force. You are doing remember, my stomach is moving out. I'm not doing where you're using your shoulder muscle, neck muscle, and so you can sit on the chair. Somebody just asked me this question. You can sit on the chair, you can sit on the bed, you can sit wherever as long as your spine is erect. I mentioned there are certain pranayams which you can do lying down. I'll come to that later, very few. But most pranayams should be done sitting down. Okay, so I mentioned Bhastrika, we don't do it like this. You're not moving vertically up and down, you're moving sideways, horizontal movement. You're exercising your diaphragm, your stomach comes out forcefully. So the force of exhalation and force of inhalation is exactly the same. Even if you do faster, the fastest, so when you do the Kapalabhati, the difference is that the inhalation is passive, the exhalation is forceful. So I inhale passively, I don't use any force. When I exhale, my stomach just goes in with the force. Then I let the stomach come back to normal. Then again I do. It's a jerky movement. It pushes the diaphragm up with the force because there is in the lungs, there is, I said 6000 ml, there is something called as the reserve volume. The lung is never collapsed. The lung always has about 1000 to 1200 ml of air. There is something called as expiratory reserve volume, which is also another 1000 to 1200 ml. That is also in the lung, which is also carbon dioxide and toxins and all the pollutants. When you do this, you're not inhaling air, but you're exhaling the air with a force. You're throwing out that expiratory reserve volume. You're doing, my stomach is coming back. In Bhastrika, I was forcefully using my stomach. I was doing, my inhalation was forceful. It's a very distinct difference. Here you're using more of the exhalation. I push my air out. I'm waiting for my stomach to come back to normal. One more push, waiting for it to come back. You can't see it, I'm wearing dark clothes. Still, when I do the exhalation forcefully, the stomach has gone in. I'm not bringing it with force. Automatically, I'm waiting for the stomach to come out. The diaphragm descends, and once it has reached fully, I do another forceful. Again, I wait for the diaphragm to descend. My stomach comes out normally. Again, I use it forcefully. So, Bhastrika and Kapalabhati. The Kapalabhati, as I said, is a very powerful pranayama to cleanse your nadis. It is one of the Shat Karmas, of the cleansing processes that is used. Kapalabhati is also useful for most ailments. It is a treatment it's a treatment asanas or pranayama used to cure many of the diseases. especially for your anxiety, your tension, your psychological disturbances. So Kapalabhati and Bhastrika, practice it. As I said earlier, those with cardiovascular diseases, those with hernia, be cautious. You can slowly build up. You don't have to stop it. You can slowly build it up. So we have covered Bhastrika and Kapalabhati. I mentioned the first of the pranayama we did after Bhastrika was what I said, the Sital Hari, cooling system. I don't know if you can see me. I'm rolling my tongue. I'm breathing through my mouth. My tongue is wet. It causes evaporation. It causes cooling of the body. Because Bhastrika heats up your body. You can use Sital Hari pranayama to cool down. There's one more thing which I'll come to later. Then the other pranayama we learned was Nadi Shodhana. I said Nadi Shodhana is breathing, Anulom Vilom. Keep your two fingers, index finger and middle finger on your forehead. The ring finger to close the left side. The thumb to close the right side. Breathe in with the left. Hold. Breathe out through the right. You can balance it. You can breathe in for a count of 4, hold it for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 4. And I said earlier, you can increase the ratio. You can start increasing the number of counts to 8, hold it for 8, breathe out for 8. And over weeks, not over days, over weeks, you can increase the count where you can start holding. I said about one of the ways to control the prana or prevent it from depletion is by building dams which are called as bandhas. We are not ready for the bandhas yet, so we build check dams, what we call as kumbhakas. Kumbhakas is holding the breath inside, breathe in for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4 and breathe out for 4. What happens is that you can slowly increase the count from 4, hold it for 8, breathe out for 4. You slowly increase the ratio till you reach. It is breathe in for 4, hold for 16. It is 1:4 and breathe out for 8. It is 1:4:2. All these you achieve over a period of time, not immediately. It will take you weeks and months. And then you do what I said earlier, what we call as Bahir Kumbhaka. Holding your breath inside, the breath is inside, as you breathe out. Instead of immediately breathing back, you hold your breath before breathing in. That is called as Bahir Kumbhaka. These Kumbhakas retain the prana inside your body. So we have covered these basic asanas. One of the other important pranayama we will do is called as the Ujjayi pranayama. Ujjayi pranayama basically means, Ujjayi means victory. Victory over your body, victory over your prana. It looks very simple, very subtle, but the very word that it is called as Ujjayi pranayama means it has got a lot of benefits. Ujjayi pranayama is a very good way to control your cardiovascular problems, your hypertension. It has got a lot of functions. I will explain how it is done. You are actually breathing from the throat, the glottis and the epiglottis. It is very, very faint. How do you start it? You can immediately start it off by practicing what you normally, when you want to check if there is moisture in the mirror, you do you breathe into the mirror, you do you're breathing from the throat, you're making the sound from the throat. Initially breathe in normally and breathe out through the mouth. You're constricting the epiglottis and the glottis and making the sound. I'll explain to you why it is done. Once you get used to with your mouth open, close your mouth and then see if you can still get that sound. It is like a hissing sound. If you watch a baby sleep, you can see the slight sound coming from the throat. I'm doing it without the mouth open. Just listen carefully. If it is more gross, it will be. It's not that. You're just not vibrating the throat. You're doing. This pranayama has got a number of benefits. As I said, it is good to control your hypertension. Check with your doctor. You can start practicing Ujjayi Pranayam, and you can actually, if you've got hypertension or blood pressure measuring equipment at home, you can actually see the BP drop gradually. It has got a lot of benefits with anxiety, with tension, with migraines, with headaches. It is a good pranayam for practicing your meditation, a lot of things. Okay, I will also bring in one more pranayama, which is similar to what we did earlier, Sital Hari, the cooling system. You're rolling your tongue and breathing inside. I also mentioned it earlier. Those who cannot roll the tongue, don't worry. It is something genetic. It is not genetic disorder again. It is just genetic. About 10% of the population cannot roll the tongue, so don't worry. You can just put your tongue out like your dog and breathe. I also cautioned yesterday that if you have got a cold on a cold season, don't do this because it rapidly cools your body. Okay, now the next one which I want you to learn is called as Seet Kari. It's again a cooling pranayama with a number of extra benefits. Here, instead of rolling your tongue, what we are doing is we are breathing with a wide grin. We are breathing through the teeth. Just watch me. It's quite funny to watch. I'm sure I would like to see all faces like this. You're grinning as much as you can. I'll do it once again. If you observed, I was using the yogic breathing. I was not doing. I was using the abdominal breathing, the thoracic breathing. I moved my shoulders up a bit for the clavicle to move up and give some space for the upper lobes of the lungs. I'll keep holding the mic because I keep getting feedback saying I'm not loud enough. Seet Kari Pranayama again has got a lot of benefits. It cools the system down. It brings in a lot of air. Now I said about Ujjayi Pranayam and the Seet Kari Pranayam. It has got a number of other benefits. I just need to go a little bit technical here. I want to introduce another topic called as the fight or flight reaction. I just need to be a little bit technical. It is very important when it comes to our immune system. The fight or flight reaction is our survival kit. We've got still the brain, what we call as the reptilian brain. We've got something called as the limbic system. What it does is that prepares you for a fight or flight. Human physiology has not evolved in the last 10,000 years. We lived in the caves. Just imagine you are going out to find your food and you find a snake or you find a wild wolf. What is the reaction? You have to either fight the snake, the wolf, or run away. It's an instant reaction. The autonomic nervous system, that is called autonomic, means which is not under your control, sets into action immediately. What it does, there is something called, it has got two pathways. One is the sympathetic, other one is the parasympathetic. One is the accelerator, one is the brake. The sympathetic activity, what it does is it has prepared the body for a fight. What it does, it makes the heart beat faster. The hormones called adrenaline and cortisol get released. Their role is to make your heart beat faster, your breathing becomes faster, your pupil get dilated because you can see better. A lot of glycogen that is stored in your muscles and liver gets pumped into the blood because you need the fuel to run. Also what happens is that there is a vasoconstriction, blood vessels in the periphery on the skin. The blood vessels inside your viscera constrict because blood is not required there now. Blood is required in your big muscles. So there is a vasoconstriction, blood vessels constrict. You become pale because all the blood has been drained into the big muscles. All these activities happen. So what it practically does is fighting a snake or a wolf important or digestion important? No, digestion is not important at that point of time. So practically, this all your internal secretions, the digestive juices, everything sort of ceases because we are at war. It's like when the country is at war. All your forces are in the frontiers. There is lack of attention within. You know what cortisone is used for? When you have a transplant, you are injected cortisone because your body stops rejecting. Your immune system suppresses. If your immune system is active, it will throw out that part that has been implanted. So your immune system is suppressed. Your digestion is suppressed. So when somebody has got indigestion, when somebody is under stress, you understand the reason. So once the stress reaction happens, the body undergoes all these changes in a matter of seconds because the hormones are released, they are circulating inside the body. The cortisol, which is your stress hormone, the cortisol also makes you more hungry. Cortisol also causes osteoporosis, depletion of calcium from the bones. It basically does a lot of havoc inside your system. Stress, this reaction is important for survival when we lived in the jungles. But today, we are under stress all the time. When we lived in the jungles, probably we were under stress 2 to 3 times a day when we went looking for food. Today, every time you get a phone call from your boss, for your bills, a lot of factors. You're thinking of the coronavirus, every time you see a message, you get stressed up. Action happening inside the body. And today it happens 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 times a day. And you are under continuous stress all the time. It also inhibits the insulin release because whenever there is glucose coming out, glucose cannot be stored. So it can cause diabetes. So there is a whole reaction happening. So this accelerator is called as a sympathetic system. Luckily we have got a braking system that is called as a parasympathetic system. Once the stress part is over, the parasympathetic system stretches in, that is rest and relax and recouping and repair, all that happens. But your stress is happening too often, the body doesn't get time. So one of the way to relax is you start the parasympathetic system. There is this big nerve, the 10th cranial nerve called as the vagus nerve. Vagus nerve, it is called the wandering nerve. It wanders all over the body. So by doing Ujjayi Pranayam, the vagus nerve passes through the throat and you are stimulating the vagus. Also when you do the Seethkari Pranayam, I need to introduce anger here. Anger also produces the same stress reaction because you are angry enough to hit somebody. You're angry enough to scream at somebody. There are times we use anger purely as a manipulative tool. We want to control somebody simply screaming at the driver because you feel that if I don't scream, he will not do it. But remember, every time you scream at somebody, just for the effect, you are damaging yourself. You are causing the same stress reaction. You got a phone call from your boss, you got stressed, you go out and scream at your driver or at your maid, same reaction happens. So one of the way to calm down is to go into meditation. I said the limbic system, that is the center where your anxiety, anger, rage, all aggression, everything is stimulated from there. There are scientific studies that have shown that when you meditate, the frontal lobe, the prefrontal lobes of the brain has got an inhibitory effect on the limbic system. Because if you get angry very, very often, your brain is very intelligent, obviously. The brain thinks, yes, this guy needs to get angry more often. It's like learning a new language. I've started learning Sanskrit. There are my cells, the learning center in the brain, I started recruiting other brain cells and is going to help me to learn Sanskrit. Similarly, if you get angry very often, the brain thinks that, okay, this guy needs to get angry very often, so let me help him. So the brain recruits more cells, your limbic system gets more active, and then earlier you used to get angry for small things, now everything gets you angry. You're shouting on the road, your road rage, you're screaming at people because you think that is the only way you can make people work. No. You change your behavior, they will start responding. Initially maybe no, but gradually they will. So this Seethkari Pranayama, if you have observed, if your wife is angry, she doesn't have to speak. The look on her face shows that. Your children know that you're angry by the look on your face, because your facial muscle completely changes when you're angry. If you do Seethkari, imagine I'm grinning. My brain is getting suddenly a different message. Hey, this guy is not angry anymore. And there is a whole chemical change happening inside. Your neurotransmitters change. You suddenly calm down. So one other way to, when you're getting angry or upset, is to just grin, do Seethkari. If you don't want people to see you doing that, close your face. It works. It really works. The other pranayama I mentioned is Ujjayi Pranayam. Ujjayi Pranayam, also when you breathe from your throat, your glottis, the epiglottis, the vagus nerve passes through that. Because stimulating the vagus nerve is an accepted treatment method for panic attacks. One of the other pranayama which again calms you down is what is called as the Brahmari. We'll close with Brahmari. Brahmari is the bumblebee. What we do is that we put your index finger inside your ear, take a deep breath, I'm breathing out with the humming. This is a very powerful pranayama for headaches, for migraine, for insomnia. This pranayama can be practiced lying down. So this again, there is one more way I said about vagus stimulation. There is a vagus stimulation available for the external ear. It is a vibratory instrument that is prescribed by doctors, approved by FDA. You don't have to go into all that technology. We have got the vagus stimulation right here. Put your finger inside your ear and take a deep breath. Your teeth is not clenched, keeping it slightly loose. The vibration or the sound should be in the center of your brain, not in the forehead, not in where your eyebrows meet. It is somewhere in the center. It sort of shakes up the whole energy pathways and sort of settles it. So I've covered a lot of pranayama. In the next session, I will sort of recap the whole thing before I introduce a couple of more. I think I've extended a little bit more today. Let me know if you've got any feedback, any suggestion, and please do message me on my WhatsApp. My WhatsApp number is 9740904477. Thank you.